Hello my friends and welcome. As you can see, Russia is losing their oil. Today it was the successful Ukrainian drone strike on one of the biggest Russian oil facilities, and it seems like it is totally gone. I think it was the Sibneft, the company affiliated with the Russian Putin's regime. Well, all of the big oil corporations are affiliated with the Russian regime, but here the owner is Putin's friend Sechin. The strike on facility happened in Bryansk Oblast. There is the city or the town called Klintsi, and there is the big oil reservoir or oil depot. The oil facility was relatively new, built several years ago, and the Russian army used it to feed their group over here. According to the latest information, Russia concentrated around 25,000 soldiers near to Chernigiv Oblast, and they constantly modernized their army on the north, so they could be used for the further attack on Ukrainian territory. It might definitely happen this year or the next one, according to some of the sources, so Ukraine now takes precautions targeting the Russian oil depots. So yesterday's strike on St. Petersburg port oil infrastructure was unsuccessful, but today in Bryansk everything was more than successful. The first information about the drone attack I got from the Ground News, because they have the dedicated page for the news about the war in Ukraine. Here we see the top articles, and if we go lower, here is our news: a Ukrainian drone attack on oil depot inside the Russian Federation. Let's click on it. So here we go with our topic, and just lower you may find all of the related articles from all of the media sources which covered this accident, I would say. At this stage you may find just a brief information, the article titles, but if you want to get more, you may go to the news origin. For example, I'll choose this one because it's based on high factuality and it's the central bias coverage, so let's go for it. This is the news origin telling about the recent success of Ukrainian army targeting many of the planes and also the oil depot on the territory of the Russian Federation. The fire, by the way, still continues. Let's go back to the topic. On the right hand side you may see the bias distribution. You may see how the news were covered by right, left or central media sources. My favorite section is the factuality report, because here I can see whether the news is legit or not. Here is a record high factuality, 88%, because we have the visual confirmation about the Ukrainian drone attack on the Russian oil depot. And here you may also check out the particular article whether it's based on fact or on low factuality, so you may check out if there is the speculation or not. I also like the map tool. It shows the news origin, so most of the articles are coming from the United States of America. So what this platform does, it gathers all of the information from all of the sources possible and gives to the reader in a very simplified and friendly manner. That is why I constantly use it to prepare for my videos and find the proper information about the Ukrainian topic. But if you wonder about the other news, they are available here as well. I couldn't find a better platform that gives you mostly everything, all the information of what is happening around the world. The Ground News is not just available as the website, they also have a very useful and user-friendly application for your Android or iOS device. The Ground News isn't sponsored by any kind of the big media corporation, they rely just on subscribers. That is why I encourage you to subscribe as well. You may do it with my personal link, which you may find in the video description just below. It is ground.news/Dennis, and with my personal link you will have 30% of discount that was made especially for my followers. By subscribing for the Ground News, you will have the full access for the platform as I do. Following my personal link, you also support the job that I do on YouTube, because the Ground News is the constant sponsor of my channel. So Ground News, thank you for sponsoring this video. Let's go back to our very hot news. The oil depot was not the only target today which Ukraine hit. Also, the powder factory in Tambov city was severely damaged by the drone. As locals reported, Ukraine didn't use the kamikaze drones, but rather the bombs which were dropped from those drones. Ukraine has already used this tool before during the attack on the Pskov airfield located on the northern part of Russia. Actually, I didn't know, but the powder is really hard to produce, the good quality powder. It is even more difficult compared to the artillery shells production. Plus the powder burns quite well, that is why those facilities are the main targets for Ukraine. And as I say to you, the fire still continues in the oil facility in the Bryansk Oblast. Well, we still have to wait for the satellite images to confirm that it is completely gone, but something tells me that Russia lost all of the oil tanks out there. So why Ukraine is now so concentrated on the Russian oil facilities? Well, first of all, to cut the fuel for the Russian military, and the second thing, to cut the Russian export of the oil. You probably know that the last month the Novorossiysk port was attacked. It is the main Russian export oil port in the Black Sea. And the oil port in St. Petersburg, there was the attempt from Ukraine to cut it as well yesterday. You see, even though Russia is so big, but it has the way out to just few of the places with a warm water, which is used for the Russian export. That is why the landlocked port in Kaliningrad is so important for the Russian Federation, and that is why it makes the choice for Ukrainian targets not so versatile. Okay, now let's go to the front lines review. Russia again today tried to advance towards Novomikhailovka. There is the single road out there which they use. We call it the road of death or a road to hell. Let me show you why. Well, that is why the Russian convoys and all of the Russian infantry goes all through this road, only directly or just bypassing it through the fields, and usually what is happening to the Russian tanks, they continue to explode under the Ukrainian drone and artillery fire. But there is the place where Russia tries to advance with all of their forces available. I'm speaking about the Avdiivka. So let's check out the timeline. It was yesterday and it is today. So definitely Russia took this crossroad, and it looks like the fighting is ongoing in Avdiivka town itself, unfortunately, because the gray area expanded widely. We also have the similar confirmation from the Mayakovsk 73. He publishes a very precise maps, and here the gray area is already touching the town. Russians say that they were able to break the Ukrainian defense in this industrial part of the city. Don't know if it is true, but we're gonna see the update on this situation tomorrow. From the Deep State military map source, they say that the situation is very difficult for Ukrainian army, unfortunately. So according to the Deep State military map message, Russia has two of the main attack vectors. One is from this industrial part and the other one is from Kamenka. They say that for now they are unable to provide the full details of the Russian advancement, but in the nearby future we'll see the full picture. For now it is like that, as you may spot on this military map. I already told you before that this part is one of the most vulnerable directions for Ukraine to defend. So Russia tried to reach Stepova many times, failed with all of their attack attempts, and now looking for other vectors. The similar picture we may see on the northern front lines, where Russia was unsuccessful advancing to Sinkivka, but today they have the other vector towards Krokhmana. So let's go to the military map update. It was yesterday, and today Russians expanded this area quite successfully, I would say, even reaching this road, but Ukraine still has the potential for the counterattack. And Russia already attacked this place many of the times, but returned back to their positions. I already reviewed it on my channel. Strategically now Ukraine went to total defense all around, but it doesn't mean that Russia is able to achieve their strategic goal, for example, taking Slavyansk or Kramatorsk under their control. This goal was announced by the Russian Army Military Command as the forecast for this year. But honestly, I don't think that they will be successful with it. The Russian Volunteer Corps published this photo today. They say that they went on advancement towards the Russian territory, ambushing some of the Russian forces and Ural. Well, what we have is just a single photo. I hope that this information is valid. For a moment, let's go to the Krinky village. Russia today says that they've took control over the vast part of this village, pushing Ukrainian army out from it, but it is fake. All of their forces are just completely gone, together with one of their main drone pilot, Moises. The Russian infamous drone unit of Moises was ambushed in this building by Ukrainian drones. Moises' wife has confirmed the sad news for the Russian army. For them, Moises was, as for us, Magyar. He really hit many of the Ukrainian targets, but finally was hit himself. I published this on my Telegram channel. Some of the Russian soldiers filmed the video how they go in the convoy to fight in the spot of the front line. So definitely it is the convoy. You may see the other armored vehicle over there. And that is what they filmed next. The convoy was totally ambushed and they went into the local trench, which is not really useful for the long-term defense. One of the Russian members of parliament who represents the army committee said that they want to form GLUAG, basically the concentration camps for those civilians who do not agree with the policy of the Russian state. They start to speak about it after the riots in Bashkortostan. By the way, today there was the meeting in Ufa and many of the activists were arrested by the Russian police. Not many people gathered, around 2,000 totally, as it was reported by the media sources. So for now, Russia is still far from reaching this boiling point of the massive protests. They are happening here and there, but they're not massive. Some Chinese volunteers are joining the Russian army. You see how proud this guy is. He is going to Ukraine. Thank you for your hard work, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm going to Ukraine. We are leaving. The big army has set off. But what he records next? There is no medical treatment, so he is in Ukraine. Doctor prescribes simplest medicine and other stuff. So he asks his colleagues or his followers to contact the Chinese embassy in Russia, in Moscow, for them to get him out from the Russian army. But something tells me that China doesn't care. I want to terminate the contract. No, man, it doesn't work like that. It is one-way ticket for you. You made your personal decision, so go and kaput. Here we have a picture of our brave warriors who eliminated the Russian-based tank T-90 Proryev just using Bradley. Well, actually there were two of the Bradleys, but we have the photo of one crew and their unit. Awesome, guys, you are heroes. By the way, it looks like Ukraine installed some of the electronic warfare on top of the Bradleys to prevent them being hit by the Russian FPV drones and other types of the drones. Alright, according to the Financial Times, Russia is planning one more big attack on Ukraine. They build up their forces, including the north direction, near to Chernihiv Oblast, the border with Ukraine, but they say that Ukraine also has the plans for the future attack operations. Probably not this year because Ukraine went to active defense, but in 2025 Ukraine plans to hire more army men and get more weaponry to overcome the Russian army in multiple directions. This is why the bridgehead in Krynki and all across the Dnieper River is very important for Ukraine. Russia also has big plans, but I don't think that they are possible to be achieved this year. In any case, it is going to be a long war. According to the American intelligence, at least 2 of the years, and some say at least 5 of the years. From the current point, it means that it might finish in 2030. Also, according to the German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius, Russia is planning to attack the NATO countries. He said about the Baltic countries like Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia, who are the friends of Germany, so Germany should protect those countries, as well, by the way, as the United States of America. He said that Russia will be ready for the jump in around 5 up to 8 years. Indeed, Russia does everything to modernize their army just right now, increasing the production of the weaponry, and also they learn on their own mistakes based on their experience in Ukraine. Mostly they failed the first year, but now we see that little by little, finally, they are getting the initiative on the front lines, taking some of the ground. If they occupy Avdiivka, it will be a huge sign that Russian army is still very capable. So NATO should be ready for any sort of the scenario. It's better to be prepared. The same calls we have from the British media sources. NATO warned that the full-scale war with Russia could start in the next 20 years, and today I read the article from the NATO general. He asked civilians to be prepared for the possible war. Also, there is some of the law change for the conscription policy in Poland. Also, the huge military drills which our allies will perform this year. So there are some of the not good signs, I would say. That is why it's very important to support Ukraine, because Ukraine stops Russia each day. A former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson says that Trump's return could be a big win for the world. Could it be that they visit the same barbershop? Well, my point of view that Trump could bring instability into relations between Ukraine and the United States, especially military relations. At the same time, there is a great chance for improving of those relations, because Donald Trump was the first US president who approved the delivery of Javelin anti-tank weapons to Ukraine back in 2018. So potentially he might even give more weaponry to Ukraine, but now he does everything to stop the supplies for Ukraine, creating the conflicts inside the United States Congress. Meanwhile, President Zelensky invited Donald Trump to visit Kyiv and Ukraine in general. At the same time, he called Trump's peace plan a very dangerous one, because Donald Trump, as he openly says, wants to force Ukraine to trade its territories for a peace agreement with Russia, which will not last for a very long time. The United Kingdom Army performed the laser weaponry tests today. The information about the parameters, the range, the power is classified for now. But what we know is the price. It is £127 million, but one shot, as it's said, costs around £13. Obviously, we'll have this technology implemented into, for example, air defense systems in a close-by perspective. My friends, please don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot. And also, please check out my personal link in the video description just below, where you may subscribe for the ground news with a 30% of discount that was made especially for my followers. Please support my channel and the young team of enthusiasts of the ground news who provide the best possible information from all around the world. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.